There's the old joke, right? Where they say that a guy would say, I know that 50% of my marketing works, but I don't know which 50%. So even though that's funny, it's very true. And if you're marketing properly, you should always be getting a return on investment. You should never be spending, say, $1,000 on marketing and only making $500 back. That's not good marketing. It's not being done right. And marketing should never be something that you're not aware of. It's probably one of your most important key performance indicators are the ones that relate to marketing, right? The whole key to marketing is doing something and then measuring the results, right? Try a different one, measure the results. In the digital marketing space, we used to do native advertising. And in native advertising, if you've ever been on a website and, it's one of those things that, here's the top 25 weird things that live in the ocean, those kind of sites, you scroll to the bottom, you would see what looked like a bunch of image article boxes. There might be 6 or 8 or 12 of them. Those are actually largely native advertising. Native just means it looks like it's part of the blog. Just like a native app in your smartphone is just one that's made to be part of your phone. But native advertising is basically like an infomercial for blogs. That's really one way to look at it. So when we would run a native ad, we would create 5 different images and 5 different headlines, 5 different descriptions, the main part of the text. And we had a software called Brax, BRAXX.com. And we would upload all of these things into that, and Brax would create every different version possible of those 5 images, 5 headlines, and 5 descriptions, and it would market all of them equally. And then after, say, 10,000 clicks each or something like that, you would begin to see which image is getting clicked the most. You would see which headline is performing the best, which description is performing the best, and you would continue to cut away the ones that aren't performing and bolster the ones that are performing. So after a while, you've got 80% of your marketing budget driving the ones that are successful, and you're testing with 20% of your marketing budget the new ideas, right? That's kind of how you do it. So you have to continue to market where you are right now, right? And we want to talk about determining what it is you're doing in marketing, right? Because you might change something as a result of this episode, and you've changed it for the worse because you didn't know what was working. So get familiar with what your key performance indicators are for your marketing. Basic key performance indicators in marketing are things like, how many leads did this marketing initiative generate? And then a marketing/sales key performance indicator would be how many of those specific leads did a conversion. They became sales, or they subscribed, or they came to the store or whatever. And then what was the average dollar value for those sales that those leads and those conversions produced? And were any of those customers past customers? Were they new customers? And how many are repeat buyers? And what was the margin on the sales in the end? And none of these things are really difficult to do. It's just a matter of getting set up. You can do it on a piece of paper with a pencil, right? Basically, each campaign you run, I don't know if you remember in the old Yellow Pages, I know I'm kind of dating myself here, but in the Yellow Pages, there used to be ads, the little display ads in the Yellow Pages for tow trucks and pizza. In the bottom corner of the ad, it would say something like, quote this code to get a special discount. And it would be like A1, B2, C3 kind of code. Well, that code has little to do with your discount. That code is telling the marketer that you came from that specific ad. So they know that ad worked. There might be another ad just like it somewhere in another publication that had a different code, and nobody called in on that ad. So that's how they're tracking that. And the easiest way to do it, I actually did this in an earlier episode. It might be in the first TRC1 through TRC10, where it's the easy dumbass way to track if your marketing works. And I don't mean dumbass in a derogatory term, because if you're in tow trucking, if you're a butcher, if you're run a bake shop or a print shop, your job is to be good at those technical things. My job is to be good at helping you with these things. So when I say dumbass ad tracking, I don't mean it in a negative or derogatory way. I'm just dumbing it down so that I know you'll use it and you'll get a result from it. The easiest way to do it is when people walk into your store, or they place an order on the phone, or they email an order to you, or they buy something from you on Amazon. For example, my wife sells all kinds of artisan goodies on Amazon that she makes at home. And she always asks them, how did you find me? Why did you choose me? Why did you choose me over someone else? So as you kind of master these KPIs and you start to get a grip on them, what you'll find is that everything is going to start getting less expensive and becoming more effective. An awful lot of business owners seem to market by either random influence or recommendation. They kind of just throw darts at the marketing dartboard and hope for the best. And rest assured, when I tell you this, chances are 90% of your competitors are marketing in exactly that manner. A big part of marketing is not just, the indicators themselves and knowing what they are. I mean, that's an important part. But where a lot of people go wrong is that everything is a shotgun approach. Earlier on in this episode, I mentioned how when people do, say, pay-per-click marketing or radio marketing, they're trying to talk to everybody. They're trying to get everybody to click. They're trying to get everybody to tune in. And that's the wrong way to do it, because you have a cost per person that walks through the doors of your shop, or a cost per person of people that go to your product for sale online. What you want to do is only have the ones walking in that are exactly your market, right? The exact ones that will probably produce a sale. And that's part of what qualifying is. So for example, if you want to run an ad in, let's say it's a paid ad in Kijiji, you can do those. If you wanted to run an ad for a pizza place, for example, you don't want everybody to respond to the ad. You want people that, first of all, have a pulse and have a credit card and that eat pizza and are willing. So it's not just that they're capable of paying, it's that they're willing to pay and that it's a product that they buy. So how do you do that? Well, one of the ways is by really knowing your market. Who is your target? Who is your avatar? And I don't mean that movie with the cool six-legged horses and the people in space that lived in the giant tree on that planet and the movie Avatar. I mean, who is your target market? It's not enough to say, oh, well, middle-aged guys that are semi-retired, or 18 to 25-year-olds that shop in the mall. It's not specific enough. So one of the things that I have people do that's very effective is I have them create a complete profile for 3 different avatars. And all of these avatars would be the right avatar for your target market. So what I would like to know is, what the demographics of this person. How old are they? Are they men? Are they women? Are they boys? Are they girls? What kind of places do they live? Where do they live? Are they family people? Are they single people? Where do they find their entertainment? Where do they get their information? What news do they pay attention to? What magazines do they read? In fact, that's one of the very best Facebook targeting things you can do is lookalike groups, lookalike audience for a specific magazine. What's their career? What do they do for a living? Are they farmers? Are they in high finance? How do they transport around? Do they own a car? What kind of car? Do they take public transit? What type of transportation? Do they use Uber? Things like this. What are they excited about? What's their pastime? Do they play tennis or do they go fishing? So, what are the things that worry them? What keeps them up at night? Are they worried about their retirement savings? Are they worried about their children's education? Are they concerned about their health? What kind of reservation might they have about your product or your service? What would be their reservation? If you already know what their reservations are, it's easy to address them, right? Are they people that would buy something through their smartphone, or do they prefer to walk in? I mean, there's a lot of people in older generations that don't bank online the first time. They want to walk into the bank the first time, get to know everybody, and then after that, they'll do all their banking online. Would they buy your product online, or would they only buy it in person? What kind of earning demographic are they in? What are their political affiliations and affinities? Are they primarily conservative, or are they liberal? So by just kind of creating 3 profiles for 3 fictitious people that exactly match who you are, exactly match who they are in terms of your perfect market, right? And then we're going to go on to the next step, which is called message to market match, right? We're basically going to keep you from being in the median. You want to be always an outlier. That definition of who you are, your brand, that makes you an outlier, that makes you different from your competitors. Why should people come to you? Think about the reason people buy specific brands, right? Everything I own, pretty much, other than the Samsung phone that I'm using right now, is an Apple product. Everything. All of our backup systems, the desktop systems, the laptops, networking, everything is Apple. But I'm aware of how bad the new iPhones are, so I switched my smartphone to Samsung. But why do I go to Apple? Apple is unique. They have a unique proposition, and that is around it being very easy for an end user, which is me. I'm not a computer programmer. I am an end user, and they make it very easy for me to do anything. If I want to print a document, it doesn't matter where I am, I can print it. I don't have to install drivers and figure out how to be a computer expert. So your business needs to be unique. Look at some of the beverage companies like Jones. I don't know if you've seen the Jones root beers and Jones cream sodas and things like this. Their product isn't necessarily any better or any worse, but their brand says we are different. We are snowboarders. We're into extreme sports. We're young. We're energetic. We're adventurous. So again, it's not about the product or the service necessarily. It's what they do at Jones to separate themselves. What does Harley Davidson do to separate themselves from Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, and so on and so forth? They have one of the most loyal brand buyers in the world are Harley Davidson owners, which is my wife and I as well. We have 2 of them here. It's not because they're any better motorcycles than anybody else. In fact, in a lot of ways, they're not as good, but they certainly have built a loyal brand for other things. One of them is they don't depreciate as quickly as all of the other brands out there because there are so many loyal secondary market buyers. So what is it about your service, your price, your quality that sets you apart from your competition? What is it about the customer experience with you that's different? Because this is going to be a big part of your message to market match. And we're coming up on a half an hour here now, so I'm going to wrap this up. But I want you to give some thought to the pieces we've discussed, make some notes, have that kind of moment of thought about where your business is, what do you know about it, what don't you know about it, who are your avatars, what marketing are you doing that's working, what marketing are you doing that isn't working, and what makes you different from your competitors, because we're going to use that in the next podcast to create your message to market match. That's it for today on the Roncast. I'm your host, Ron Davies. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at ron@theroncast.com, or you can go to www.theroncast.com and visit me and drop me a note in there. Please remember to subscribe and like this episode, and have a wonderful Easter weekend.
That's it for this episode of the Roncast. Be sure to subscribe and tune in again for killer tips, techniques, and tools to growth hack any business. We hope you've enjoyed the show.